It's time for the One Bar and Lupaga Show, bringing you anything and everything Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome to professional football.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupaga Show. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 5 players on the current Vikings roster that might not be overly excited about the draft class that the Vikings just brought in. Before we get into that, like the video, subscribe to the One Bar and Lupaga Show. We are bringing you Vikings daily videos on anything and everything purple, so hit us up. But let's get into 5 guys that might not be overly excited about the draft class, and what I mean is they're probably shaking in their tight football pants that their job may be on the line. So let's get right into it. Number 1, this guy's not going to be surprised. The writing's on the wall. He's getting older. He's got 2 years left on his contract. Riley Reef, our starting left tackle. We bring in Frezzer Cleveland round 2. Great value. 2 reasons why you might not like this. 1, it pretty much solidifies that everybody thought we're going to go offensive tackle in the first couple of rounds and groom our guy for the future. 2, it might mean that Riley Reef might actually have to change positions and move in the guard. Depending on what they got up their sleeve for Frezzer Cleveland as a rookie, I don't think many people see him starting at left tackle week 1 by any means. He's still a little rough around the edges. He's got a little grooming to do before he'll be ready for that. But if the opportunity presents itself, it very well could happen during the season. I mean, Riley Reef has been around. He played guard a little bit in his college career, I believe. So he might just be ornery about the fact he's got to move inside this late in his career. But, Riley Reef seems like a team player, and I think he'll do it. But come next year at the latest, I think Frezzer Cleveland gets handed that job at left tackle, and the Riley Reef era will be over. So Riley Reef, maybe a little ornery, maybe not. Second guy, Tajae Sharpe. We signed him to a 1-year, $1 million contract this offseason. Kind of a prove-it deal for him. But we did, in fact, draft 2 wide receivers. One very early, round 1, Justin Jefferson. So I don't think he has a spot solidified at all. And on top of that, we bring in Courtney Davis, undrafted free agent, that he has a lot of buzz around him, and he could be a surprise guy that makes the team. But Tajae Sharpe, we've seen it in the past. Kendall Wright, remember we bring him in. He was looked at as just pretty much handed the number 3 wide receiver spot, did not make it out of preseason. So Tajae Sharpe is by no means a lock, and if I'm him, I'm not overly excited about what happened. So moving on to number 3, the third guy, Eric Wilson, linebacker. I mean, this guy has been busting his ass the last couple of years. Finally, last year, he gets out there and gets some starts under his belt and shows that he is pretty damn good. I mean, Eric Wilson is fun to watch. He is athletic. He is fast. Seems like the dude is always in the backfield causing shit to happen. And what do the Vikings do to reward him? They go ahead and draft a linebacker round 4, Troy Dye. And Troy Dye is a guy that, sometimes you look at guys in the mid-rounds that, hey, he'll be a good special teamer. We'll see. Troy Dye is a guy that's going to come in and push for Eric Wilson's spot day 1. The Vikings had a lot of value on the board when they took Dye. There were still some solid guards there, still some very good receivers, and they opted to go for a guy that might not have been a top need. It was definitely a need, but not a top need. And they reached, not for Troy Dye, but they reached for the position, and they wanted him, and they took a linebacker for a reason. And I don't think it's to play special teams. I think it's to push Eric Wilson for his spot. So Eric Wilson, we'll see what happens. Finally, or no, not finally, we got 2 more. Fan favorite. It seems like the third quarterback is always a fan favorite, always will be. Taylor Heineke, Kyle Sloter. Now it's Jake Browning. Nate Stanley, round 6. Vikings are not known for taking quarterbacks in the later rounds, especially lately. It's been a while. They went ahead. Yes, we had 9,000 draft picks, but Nate Stanley drafted, big arm. We know all about Nate Stanley. If you don't, check out our previous videos. We break him down, but I think Jake Browning's days could very well be numbered. Just because you're drafted in round 6 doesn't mean anything, but the fact that we took a quarterback says a lot to me. Especially he's very raw. I think he has more to offer, Jake Browning, long term. Nate Stanley might actually get to the point where he could possibly be a backup in the NFL. Jake Browning, I'm sorry, he's just got number 3 written all over him. Yes, I loved watching him in college. I love watching him in preseason. He's a good guy to root for, but Nate Stanley comes in, brings a whole different element. That big old cannon will be fun to watch. So Jake Browning, Nate Stanley, that'll be a fun quarterback 3 battle to watch in preseason. And finally, the 5th guy who may have not been overly excited about the draft is Armon Watts. And Armon Watts isn't going anywhere. The guy isn't getting cut. He's not in jeopardy. Well, he shouldn't be unless he lays a real turd. But James Lynch, we draft from Baylor, defensive tackle. He's going to come in. I mean, he's a guy who can get to the quarterback. He's going to come in and push Watts for playing time right off the bat. Watts was seeing the field a little bit at the end of the season, made some good plays. Still excited about Watts. But James Lynch, he's kind of a little bit of an animal where he can get to the quarterback. He's going to rack up some sacks. And the team is very excited about James Lynch. So Armon Watts could get bumped down a notch on the depth chart, maybe lose a little bit of playing time. But who knows? We shall see. But those are my 5 guys that may take a little bit of a hit based off of our last draft.